Just a quick reaction to Seattle's first pick in this 2022 draft. It's a really important draft, first since the Russell Wilson trade, and their first pick is Charles Cross. And look, when you make a big trade like this and you don't have an offensive tackle on your roster, going out and spending the first pick, a top 10 pick on a left tackle, a lot of people are going to say they've done that right. This is going to get approval by a lot of fans, and that's totally fair. I was not a big fan of Charles Cross, and I'm a little bit surprised that the Seahawks have taken him. We're talking about a guy who, all offensive tackles are big, but there's big and there's big, isn't there? And he was about 305 pounds at a playing weight. He doesn't look the biggest guy, doesn't have a lot of muscle definition, and he's not explosive. The explosive testing results were not very good, and he's not the most agile. His short shuttle wasn't very good either. He ran a decent 40, I think it was like a 4.95 or something like that. So we're not talking about a major upside player. And when you think about the Mike Leach offense in Mississippi State, it's an awful lot of passing. And what Charles Cross was basically asked to do is get into his pass set and then block long enough for the ball to get out in shotgun snaps. There's very little evidence of, okay, we need 3 yards here on third down. We're going to run the ball behind the left tackle. Didn't happen. If that was the situation for Mississippi State, they're throwing the ball in the shotgun because that's what Mike Leach does. And this is the thing. The Seahawks constantly talk about, we want to be this kind of team. It's Pete Carroll's identity. This is who we are going to be. And then their draft picks go against that. When you take D. Eskridge instead of Creed Humphrey. And this year you've taken what I think it's fair to say is a finesse left tackle. Now, I hope it works. If you can get an answer at left tackle for the next decade, it's a great pick. No one's going to complain. But I'm dubious. He's not Russell Okung. He doesn't have 36-inch arms. He isn't one of the best explosive testers in the last 12 years, like Russell Okung was. And he's played in an offense that is the complete contradiction of what the Seahawks are going to do. Now, if the Seahawks were saying, yeah, we're going to throw the ball 40 times a game from here on in, and we're going to be that kind of team, then this would make a lot of sense. But they're not going to be that. And furthermore, when you think about the players that the Rams use at tackle, Whitworth, Havenstein, they're like 6'7", 330-pound tackles. So it's not even like, okay, the Seahawks have changed their ways. They're going to go with the Rams system now and pick different linemen. Well, the Rams don't have linemen like this. So I'm a little bit surprised. I'm not a little bit surprised. I'm very, very surprised that they've taken Charles Cross. What would I have done? We're seeing Jermaine Johnson fall. I would have taken him, but there's got to be a reason why he's falling that I don't know about, that we don't know about. And there have been some talk about character and stuff like that. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the reason is for all of that, because there's a lot of people saying he's going to go a lot earlier than people expect, and that's not happened. So that's by the by. I would have loved for one of those two other offensive linemen to make it to number 9. Evan Neal, I think he would have been perfect. Ike Ekwonu, I think, is a really good guard. I don't think he's a tackle, but I think he's better than Charles Cross. But when I was speaking to my league source this week, he said Evan Neal was the clear number 1 offensive lineman. He said Ike Ekwonu would go 7-9. That was his projection. He went 6. And then he thought Cross was 8 to 12 in terms of range, and he's gone 9. So it's kind of played out as expected. Generally, this, I think, is how the league viewed those 3 offensive linemen. I know a lot of people like PFF think he's like the 3rd best player in the draft. So that's one point of view. Lance Zierlein, Daniel Jeremiah had him sort of more towards the 18th to like 25th best player in the draft. And for me, I gave him a 2nd round grade. So we'll see what they do from here. See what their next picks are. I still think they've got to find some pass rush from somewhere. I still like to see them go and get some different offensive linemen too. We'll see what happens. Interesting draft, though, when you're seeing teams like Detroit move up 20 picks and only giving up basically a 3rd round and a swap of round 2 picks. Very, very unpredictable. Stay tuned to the channel. Stay tuned to Seahawks Draft Blog for all the reaction. I'll see you again soon.